Shalom, Israel, Most High in Christ bless. We are continuing through the decades this week. We are in the 90s now. We done the 70s, the 80s. Now we're in the 90s. Before we jump smooth into the 80s, smooth into the 90s. Thank you, sir. Before we jump into surviving the 90s, we'll cover a few things that we talked about in the 80s, right? We had crack. What else we have going on in the 80s that we looked at? Mass incarceration went way up. In the 70s, they had what did they have in the 70s? Busing, and the education system was all jacked up. The political parties were aligning against us as a people in the 70s, 80s. Go ahead. Vaccinations. Yeah, we talked about the vaccinations that was going on. Make sure that your mic is up. Can you speak up, or are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, I want them to hear you. What else happened in the 80s? Anything I'm leaving out before we jump into here? Anything I'm leaving out?
No, that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it? Okay, yeah,
gangster
rap.
Yeah, we did leave out something.
We did leave something out. We're going to start with that today, right? We're going to start with that today. So we'll start with a San Diego guy here in the 80s. Let's start with this scripture first. Let's go to Psalms chapter 68, verse 11. We got to start with the scriptures. We got to start with the scriptures.
Test.
Yes, sir.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 68 and verse 11.
Yeah.
The Lord gave the word. Great was the company of those that published it.
So the Lord gave the word. All the things that have happened to us through the decades, we can see that the Lord gave the word. He told us the prophecy on when these different things would happen. He gave us the prophecies that all these things will come to pass. And we see it as we survive these different decades, be it the 70s and the 80s and now moving into the 90s, that we experienced all these curses throughout our generations. As the scripture said, the Lord gave the word, meaning all the things he said was going to happen, they happened. Go ahead, Ananiah. Okay, let's go to that. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28, verse 15.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 15.
Yeah.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So throughout our generations, surviving the 70s, surviving the 80s, surviving the 90s, and all the years prior to, the curses were on us. The curses pursued us. Whatever we did, the curses pursued us. What's that, 60? What was that again, Jedi? We just read it a minute ago.
Verse 45.
45.
Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee.
And shall pursue thee. So whatever year we went through so far, we see these curses still apply. These curses still exist. Let's go to it now. Let's start with good old Saigon Pen. We'll start with good old Saigon Pen. We'll just start with just the start of it. Now, I didn't cover in the 70s Roe v. Wade, right, going reference to abortion. And that's because we're going to talk about it here in the 90s, just to make sure y'all know why we didn't cover that thing. Some other things happened in the 90s that made it a little different. So we'll look at it. Let's start with this, though. We're starting with the 80s just to close it out. We're going to talk about Saigon Pen. Let me know when you're ready. I want to start right there. You can just start it at the beginning. We're going to go until 1:44.
I initially met Saigon Pen when I was teaching at the Jackie
Turn it up.
Robinson YMCA. At that time, I was, as I am now, teaching the Korean art, military or martial art of Taekwondo.
Turn. Now what's pointing at you? My what? Rear, sir. My butt. Pop him.
In his training, he learned to defend himself against singular as well as multiple attackers. Much of the time in fighting in class, he would fight as many as 5 individuals at one time.
Pause it.
He also learned to take...
So this guy, Saigon Pen, he was trained in Taekwondo, and he was fighting as many as 5 guys during training. Why are we bringing him up to close out the 80s? Let's see what happened. Go ahead.
individuals on who were armed with knives, chains, sticks, clubs, you name it, various kinds of weapons. And he was very, very adept. In fact, he also participated in tournament martial art. And he was one of the nation's top martial artists. He was indeed one of the consistent.
So this black man was one of the world's nations. Well, he said nations, so we just leave right there. One of the nation's top taekwondo guys. He was winning tournaments all over the nation. Go ahead.
Winners on a national basis and on a state level basis in literally every single contest he entered.
If I'm standing here, it allows me. Quick moment. Here. Pacho.
You can pause it. You can pause it. I don't know why he do. I don't know why he making that sound. I think it's going. Oh, I said 144. Yeah, keep going.
Okay.
And when he made the decision to take a life based on his own personal interpretation that his life was in danger, he was of the impression that.
So when he made a decision to take a life, he believed that his life was in danger. Let's get it, JDL. Deuteronomy 28. Where we at? 66?
Sir, check. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 66.
Yes, sir.
And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life.
And have none assurance of his life. So what happened was, just to sum it up, and we'll get a couple more clips, but this brother was a brother in San Diego, in what we know as Encanto, the hood, in San Diego. He was out. What happened, Ananiah? Tell us what happened.
So he and a couple of his boys, they was coming back from Balboa Park. I guess some event that was going on at Balboa Park. So they're driving back, and then they get profiled. Basically, they're in a pickup truck. It was a pickup truck, right?
Yeah, it was a pickup truck.
It was a pickup truck. So they get profiled, and they get pulled over. So basically, the police officer walks up to him. You know, it's two in a car. It's two police officers and a ride-along.
Yep.
The ride-along is a female.
Yep.
So the police officer approaches him, asking for his ID, right? So
Yep.
he gives him, he's complying.
Yeah.
He gives him the whole wallet, right?
Yep.
So then he's like, no, I need you to take the ID out of the wallet. He's like, I'm giving you my wallet.
Yep.
You know, basically he's like, you're a police officer. I trust you to go ahead and take my ID and look at it, right? Without going into all my stuff.
Right.
So at that point, that's when it elevated.
Yep.
What happened after that?
They started beating him up.
Yeah. So basically they pulled him out. They told him to get out the car. You're not being compliant. And then the beatdown began. But he didn't quickly react.
He didn't react. They was hitting him,
Yeah.
attacking him. They said he had his hands up in the air.
Yep.
He was like, "Why are you hitting me?" They hitting this
Exactly.
dude. Now, like we just seen, this was happening to him in training all the time. They said 4 or 5 guys would attack him with clubs and knives in his training. So he was like, I'm used to this. Like, stop hitting me. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's jump to minute 11:30.
They said it was like, you black mother effer, and it was just black, and nigger, and it wasn't nothing nice in there.
All right, it's not nice, or whatever you want to use the word, to see uniformed police officers, people that other people respect, using profanity. I say now that's a bad image for us to have. But we got a tough job to do out there, and there's a lot of tools that we can use in getting that job done. And part of that is to use professional profanity. And if you can use a key word here and there to keep a situation from getting out of hand or from having to make an arrest, let's use that word, that professional profanity, instead.
Stop, pause it. So what happened was it was a crowd of people that seen the cops attacking this man, like a lot of people. They was all standing there watching them getting attacked. Right. And the little girl said, you heard what she said. They was calling nigga, beating on him. And the cop made an excuse saying, oh, sometimes you have to use, what do you call it?
Professional, what do you say?
Professional profanity.
Professional profanity. Nigga is professional profanity, apparently.
That's and they use that. They say they use that terminology to get your attention. I'm like, yeah, you're going to get my attention. You calling me nigga, and stuff like that while you're beating me down.
Yep.
So go to Psalms chapter 64 and 8 because he set himself up for the fail.
Yep.
He set himself up for the big fail, right?
The book of Psalms, chapter 64 and verse 8. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves.
Mm-hmm.
All that see them shall flee away.
So just picture yourself on the jury, right? And then this man is up here saying that
that guy we was looking at was a police officer that was attacking him. Go
right.
ahead.
Yeah, he's the second one. He's the one that he get shot. Yeah,
I think
they all got shot.
Yeah.
He survived, right? But he's saying, there comes times where you have to use professional profanity to get your point across.
Yeah, you see what happened when you did that.
And the jury's listening to this. I'm like, this seems suspect.
To the wrong black man you did that.
Right,
day.
exactly.
That's crazy. You got some, Holy App?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, cool. Let's go to minute 15:40. I think it was 17.
Hold it real quick. You see the lady that's up there?
Yeah.
I just gotta let y'all know. I went to high school with this girl. This is crazy. So all this stuff is coming back to remembrance. I believe she's Edom.
Yeah.
But she hanged around with the brothers all the time, right?
She loved to be around Jake.
She loved to be around Jake.
Yep. All right, I think we're good.
All right, verse 17. As for us, our eyes as yet fail for our vain help.
Yep.
And our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us.
Yes.
They hunt our steps that we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near. Our days are fulfilled.
So they hunt our steps. Like he said, they profile us. They hunt our steps. All right, let's go to that 15:40.
Did you observe what he was doing?
Yes, he was hitting him with a stick.
The officer that was on top of him, straddling him, he said, "You think you're bad? You think you're bad? Nigger, I'm going to beat your ass."
You honestly thought that the officers were going to kill Mr. Penn right there in front of 50 people?
Yes.
Pause it. Yeah, they was beating this man down in front of 50 people without anything that's thinking anything was gonna go wrong. Go ahead.
You honestly did believe that?
Yes, I mean, the way they were beating him.
So when you say that wasn't called for or something like that, you don't really know what preceded that. In other words, what went before it?
No, I mean, a guy walking back, back this way, an officer comes, straddle him, and just beat him. Is that the way they protect and serve?
The police in
That's
America theoretically.
So she said, is that the way to protect and serve? Like we just read. Read it again. Lamentations chapter 4, verse 17.
The book of Lamentations, chapter 4 and verse 17.
Yeah.
As for us, our eyes as yet fail for our vain help.
Mm-hmm.
And our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us. They hunt our steps.
So we think that this nation is going to help us, is going to save us, but it's not.
In a flash.
And you got shot in the left side of the neck?
Yes.
The police officer with the blonde hair was on your chest, had his hand on your throat, and holding one arm, you took his gun from him. You shot which officer first?
When I had the gun on him, the one standing right there kicked my arm. And that one that was over me punched me in my face.
Okay. And which one?
The blast went off.
Which one did you shoot first?
The blast went off on the one that was on top of me when the one kicked me.
The blonde hair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you got the cap dropped on him first.
Don't put nothing like that.
Well, you say blast, I say shot. We're going to have to agree on order here.
I'm just agreeing on what I just said. That's all.
We made the call.
That's it.
Angela.
So he telling you what happened. One of them was on top of him. The other one was kicking him. And he was able to, while the guy was on top of him, he was able to reach down and pull his gun out and shoot him with his own gun. Go ahead, Ananias.
No, I was just saying, if you listen to the way Sagan was testifying what happened that day, he was really being precise with his choice of words.
Yeah.
He said the blast went off because the guy's saying you shot him.
Nope.
But he's saying the blast went off.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's playing on the jury. He's like, well, when he pulled it out, did the gun just accidentally
They try to use
discharge?
the words to flip on him.
Right.
You shot him.
He's saying you shot him. He said this,
no,
this
the
is what I
blast
said.
went off. I was trying to prevent this.
Exactly.
The whole time. Yeah. Like we read in Lamentations, right? They hunted our steps. They hunted our steps. They profiled us in the 80s. That's what happened. All right. Anything else you want to say about the 80s?
Well, long story short, Sagan got off.
Yep,
he was
found not
acquitted.
guilty.
He was found now guilty, right?
Right, found
He was
not guilty.
now guilty.
And then one charge I think they hung on. They was stuck on like it was one of the charges. It's called hung jury.
Right, and
Yeah,
that's
it was
probably
like
when he
11-1.
shot the ride along.
The ride along, yeah.
So, but it didn't end there because Sagan, about 10, 12 years later, he ended up committing suicide because they would not leave him alone.
They kept harassing him. Police kept harassing him. Yep.
Go to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 25.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 25. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shalt be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth.
So this is what was going on with Sagan after he was already found not guilty.
Yep.
His best bet would have been just to leave San Diego altogether,
yep.
change his name, and become a different person in a different state. But he chose to stay here because this is where he's from. He thought he would come out, he'll be safe, but that was their revenge on him.
Yep.
Just to constantly pull this
Harass
brother
that
over.
guy.
He said he couldn't find a job. He was getting $700 a month for like a disability because of his illness, because they made the brother go crazy.
Dang.
All in all. So he wasn't able to find work. Everybody knew who Sagan Penn was. He was constantly being pulled over. So the brother ended up taking his life by pills.
Dang. What was the other guy, JDL, too, in New York that did the same thing?
Larry Davis.
Larry Davis. Larry Davis. And that was another similar story as well in New York in the 80s, that Larry Davis ended up was being harassed by police, and he ended up defending himself and getting off.
Shot 6 cops.
Shot 6 cops. God dang. All right, so we're going to move into the 90s. We're going to move into the 90s. Pull up that wiki right quick. Let's read that. Let's move into the 90s. It says 1990s. The 90s, pronounced the 1990s, shortened to the 90s, was a decade of the Gregorian calendar that began January 1st, 1990, ended December 31st, 1999. What they know is what they call the Y2K, 1999, right? It was the final decade of the second millennium in the 20th century. The 90s saw a rise in awareness and multiculturalism, as well as the advance of alternative media movement, and as grunge, rave scenes, hip-hop spread around the world to young people during that decade, aided by the new technology such as cable television and the World Wide Web. So the internet was also introduced in the 90s. Let's go to this. Isaiah chapter 42, verse 22.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 42 and verse 22.
Yeah.
But this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes, and they are hid in prison houses. For they are a prey, and none delivereth, for a spoil, and none saith restore.
So what happened again, like in the 90s, the trend continues, right? The crack, the mass incarceration, those trends continued that we saw at the 80s and moving into the 90s with the hip hop era, with internet. Those things didn't make our lives better. A lot of people was getting rich off of this stuff, but for the mass of us, it didn't help us, right? A lot of us were oppressed and put into prison because of this. I think they was the prison number starting in the 90s was like 1.3 million. By the end, they was at like 2.3 million. Could dang near doubled the amount of men we had in prison. The amount of men we had in prison doubled from 90 to 99. All right, we'll go here. Let's start here. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. One more time. And give me that first video I asked for, sir.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 15.
Yes, sir.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God,
yes, sir,
to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So again, we continue to be cursed in the 90s. Let's look at verse 59.
Verse 59.
Yeah.
Then the Lord will make thy plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed, even great plagues, and of long continuance, and sore sicknesses, and of long continuance.
So the Lord is clear that the plagues was going to be for a long continuance. It wasn't just going to be for the 70s, for the 60s, for the 80s. No, it was for a long continuance. So like we just saw, Saigon Pen was getting beat up. Let's see what happened in the 90s. Let's see if that changed. Give me the video. Let's see what happened. Some of y'all might not have heard of this brother right here, but look at this. Y'all make sure y'all looking. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 police officers. There it is. It's a man on the ground. He is laid out on the ground, and they are hitting him in the back with billy clubs. At this point, would you not think, hey, I should arrest this guy? Look, now he's rolled over. They hit him in the face with the billy club. Boom. On the ground. Still hitting. Kicking him in the back of the head. Look at people just driving by. Okay, now let's arrest him. You can pause. So if y'all don't know, if some of y'all kids don't know, some of y'all younger brothers and sisters don't know, it was a man. His name was Rodney King. And a group of police officers beat this man for a long time. I mean, it just went on and on and on. Now, again, I'm not saying the brother was guiltless, right? Give me that in Romans, right? Where it tell you to obey the laws of the land. This brother, Rodney King, he had sent the police on a chase. He was intoxicated, apparently, allegedly. So they chased him, and he ran from the police. Was you finna say something? Come on. You good? Oh, go ahead. Come on.
No, I was gonna say during all of that beating, they were saying, "Stop resisting, stop resisting, lay down, stop resisting." I'm like, what is going on, man? It's like you know, the Lord's got His hand in all that stuff. It's crazy because this brother, at any time, they could have just put cuffs on that dude.
They could have just put cuffs on him.
You know, it was a point where he sat down. And he had his hands already behind his back. And they kicked him in the back of the head, pushed him back on the ground, and proceeded to beat him.
Goodness. You got something, Holy? Go ahead. Come on, turn it up.
White supremacy in full effect.
White supremacy in full effect.
Yes, sir.
It was going down.
Yes.
Let's go to that one in Romans. What's the one?
It's the book of Romans, chapter 13 and verse 1.
Yeah.
Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers.
Yeah.
For there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God.
Yeah.
Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God. And they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation.
So like I just said, the brother, he was running from the cops. They was chasing him. He was running from them. He was apparently intoxicated. But I don't know how that. Give me that one in Proverbs, Jediel. Proverbs 11. Proverbs 11 and 1.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 11 and verse 1.
Yeah.
A false balance is abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is His delight.
So a false balance. Okay, the brother ran. All right, you done got him pulled over. Now he should go and be put on trial, be arrested. That would be a fair balance. No, let's beat the heck out of him. Let's go to the next video. So all these men that I want the dang, which video did I say next? I think I forgot one. I think it was one in between there, actually. All these men went to trial for beating Rodney King. Let's see what happened with that. Again, and Deuteronomy 28, the whole point is Deuteronomy 28 applies through this whole thing. Through the 90s, Deuteronomy 28 applied. Y'all think Trayvon Martin, George Floyd, Philando Castile were the first? No. This was happening in the 80s, in the 70s, in the 90s. Go ahead, hit play.
And an attempt to answer the question of why the jury came up with a not guilty verdict.
Pause. Not guilty. They found them men that was beating Rodney King not guilty. They weren't guilty of anything. They didn't do anything wrong. Let's see why the juries thought they were not guilty. Hit play.
One of the King trial jurors, who wants to remain anonymous, admitted the King beating video made an instant impression on that jury. But that same Simi Valley juror said a closer inspection of the video left her with a very different and a very shocking impression.
But when you see it in its entirety, we saw it regular speed and slow motion and frame by frame, repeatedly over and over and over again, looking at specific actions of each specific officer and indeed of Rodney King to see what stimulated their actions to go as they did go. And I am thoroughly convinced, as were the others, I believe, that Mr. King was in full control of the whole situation.
Rodney King was in full control of that situation, the Holy App. You didn't know that? He was in control. Go ahead.
It reminds me of Zechariah 11 and 5.
Let's get it. Let's get it. He was in full control. Go ahead.
It's the book of Zechariah, chapter 11 and verse 5. Whose possessors slay them.
So who are the possessors? The police officers.
The
white
that
police
brought
officers
us over here in slavery. The police officers, yes.
beating them with that billy club.
Yep.
Read.
And hold themselves not guilty.
Dang.
So when they went to court, they found this police officer that was beating them not guilty.
Not guilty. They said Rodney King was in control of this whole situation. Apparently. Go back like 3 seconds, 4 seconds. Let me hear what I say it again. I just want to look at the images and see how he's in control of this. Hit play.
I am thoroughly convinced, as were the others, I believe, that Mr. King was in full control
Look at
of
that.
the whole situation.
Full control. That's full control.
This juror also
One of the
said she was
hold on.
convinced that
Pause
Rodney
it.
King was under the
One of the jurors. That was the people that was on the jury. She was one of the people that was on the jury. She said they were convinced that Rodney King was in control of that whole situation. Go ahead. Hold on. No, not the video. And I'm not finna say something.
No, you say go ahead, but it's like it's nothing I can say. I'm like, goodness. He's in full control. He's on the ground. You got 7+ police officers taking turns, beating this man on the head,
Kicking
midsection, ankles, whatsoever, and he's in full control of the situation.
Full control.
That's what they see.
Gosh, you got something, Holy App? You want to say something? Nah. Okay, cool. Go ahead. Hit play again.
In full control of the whole situation at all times.
This juror also said she was convinced that Rodney King was under the influence of both alcohol and PCP. What
Pause. Pause. How is he in control of the whole situation if he was inebriated and on PCP? That makes no sense.
Okay, how did she come? Is she a physician? Did she run blood tests on this man to say that either he was or he wasn't?
Allegedly.
She said he allegedly was under the influence of alcohol and PCP.
Allegedly. Gosh. Okay. Let's go to the next video. The next one, the one I had said. And I want to go to, I think just start it. And I'll tell you where to stop. Just hit start. Where is it at? Hold on. Okay, here we go. I found it. Okay, yeah, hit start. And we're going to go to minute 153, I believe.
Thanks for joining us for the city of Los Angeles, a third day of tension and violence. As night approaches, police
Pause.
and National Guard unit.
So when the verdict was put out not guilty, the way y'all see them out there burning down buildings and doing that stuff, guess what? They was doing it in the 90s. They was doing it back in 1965. They was doing it in the 70s. They was doing it in the 80s. They was running around breaking and destroying stuff. They was doing the same thing back here. Go ahead.
Are out in force. Federal troops are on standby. Violence in the city appeared to die down a bit today, but the toll is obvious.
Go back like to right when he first, just like to 20 seconds again. That's good. No, 16. My bad.
Police and National Guard units are out in force. Federal troops are on standby. Violence in the city appeared to die down a bit today, but the toll is obvious. 37 people dead, more than 1,300 injured, more than 4,000 arrested. Damage estimate, $200 million and rising. 4,000 national...
So they said 34 people died. So what was happening was anybody that rode through the neighborhood that wasn't black, they was pulling them out the cars and beating the hell out of them. Go ahead. I want to go to minute 153. Yeah.
Guard troops have joined the contingent of police and California Highway Patrol officers on the streets. More are on the way. A few hours ago, the man who's become the unwilling symbol of this outbreak of violence decided it was time to speak out. Rodney King appealed for peace.
Get ready for this.
I just want to say,
this ain't it.
You know, can we all get along? Can we get along? Can we stop making it horrible for the older people and the kids? And I mean, we've got enough smog here in Los Angeles. Let alone to deal with the setting these fires and things. It's just not right. It's not right, and it's not gonna change anything. We'll get our justice. They've won the battle, but they haven't won the war. We'll have our day in court, and that's all we want. And just I love, you know, I'm neutral. I love people of color. You know, I'm not like they picking me out to be. We've got to quit. We've got to quit. You know, after all, I mean, I can understand the first upset for the first.
Yeah, man, you went too far, man. I wanted 153. Ooh. All he said. What you got, Ananiah?
No, I was gonna say,
can we all just get along?
Does that brother look like he was like, I'm gonna go up there and try to create some peace? That brother was told to go up there.
He was forced. Yeah,
he was forced to go up there.
Yeah,
and speak. That's why he was so rattled in his words. He didn't have anything prepared to say. He was making up as he went, and you could tell his heart wasn't in it because he was like, damn, these dudes got off for beating my ass in the middle of the street.
Yep.
On video.
On video. Everybody's seen it. Everybody's seen it. It's crazy. Go to minute 14:10. I want the minute 14, 10 seconds. And we're going to 15 minutes. So this is what's going on. After they found themselves not guilty, like we read in Ezekiel, after they found themselves not guilty, the people started rioting, burning down buildings. But let's see if they thought it was about O.J. Simpson. Let's see what they thought. Come on. I mean, not O.J. Rodney King. Dang, I'm on my head already over there in that craziness. That was in the 90s too. It's coming. We're going to get to it.
Cap, I could get one while you.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yes, Rodney King riots, dramatic news clips, 1992. It's 22 minutes.
All right.
Go ahead, JL. I'll read it for you.
Genesis 49, 8 and 9.
Genesis 49. And you said verse 8 and 9?
8 and 9, yeah.
Let me get there, sir. The book of Genesis, chapter 49, verse 8. Judah Thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee.
So Esau read this Bible, right? So they knew, like, if all the Negroes is riled up over this Rodney King situation, we need to get the person they riled up over to calm down, right? Because if we don't, everybody's going to follow them, right? That's what this is, right? So when you see him, like, go out and do the speech, if he would have continued, it would have just escalated, right? Because it was riots all around the country, right? So it wasn't just a L.A. thing. It was like, if we get him to say relax, then everybody else will relax, right? Because everybody follows Judah.
That's what it was. They played the video out of order. Rodney King riots, dramatic news. I want that one from 1 minute to 53 seconds. And then go to the 14-minute mark.
Then the next verse is...
Oh, okay, verse 9. I'm sorry. Judah is a lion's whelp. Hold on. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down. Who couched as a lion? And as an old lion, who shall rouse him up?
Right, so Judah always had, like, the spirit in them to fight. So this was just another instance of how they took Judah and, like, calmed him down, right, and pressed him back down. So that's what I see when I see that video.
Yep. Y'all ready now? I'm ready. Okay, who?
And an attempt to answer the question of why the jury came up with a not guilty verdict.
One of the King trial jurors, who wants to remain anonymous, admitted the King beating video made an instant impression on that jury.
Nah, that's
but that
not it, bro.
Simi Valley juror said
yes,
a
it is.
closer
Yes, it is.
inspection of the video left her with a very different and a very shocking impression.
But when you see it in its entirety, we saw it regular speed and slow motion and frame by frame, repeatedly over and over and over again, looking at specific actions of each specific officer and indeed of Rodney King to see what stimulated their actions to go as they did go. And I am thoroughly convinced, as were the others, I believe, that Mr. King was in full control of the whole situation at all times.
This juror also said she was convinced that Rodney King was under the influence of both alcohol and PCP.
What most Americans saw when they watched Rodney King struck 56 times by
56
white policemen, the jury saw differently.
Not guilty of the crime of assault by force.
Pause. Not guilty of the crime of assault. That wasn't assault, Ananiah. What you just seen was not assault. That wasn't assault, Aholiab. That's not what you just seen. You can hit somebody 56 times. It's okay. It's not assault. Go ahead.
Great bodily injury.
Shock quickly turned into anger.
The same way I'm angry, you should be angry. You should be angry.
And anger turned into violence.
Look at them fires. Look at that.
The trouble began Wednesday
Look at
afternoon
them
at
pulling
this
people out the
intersection in
cars.
South Central Los Angeles. Cars attacked, the occupants beaten and robbed. At first, no police responded, and when they finally did, they left almost immediately.
Pause it. The police showed up. They said, we got to get the heck out of here. Go ahead.
Hours before they were mobilized, and even then, much of the looting would continue with impunity. But today, Police Chief Darrell Gates defended what he called a balanced response.
We had what we thought was
that's it.
appropriate response.
Let's jump to 14 minutes, man. And they was stealing all type of stuff, man, when you watch this video. They was stealing tuna fish. It wasn't DVDs yet. They were stealing tapes, you know what I'm saying? Video tapes, VHSs, TVs. Dude, I seen this one dude running with a TV in his hand and a gun in the other, and somebody's recording him. So he dropped the TV. You know the TV's back there, big, heavy. He trying to run with this heavy TV and a VCR. Gosh, 14:10. You got something or not? Okay, 14:10. A couple more seconds ahead. Just a couple of seconds. All right, cool. Right there.
All my life. Anybody who sees me out there, it may not mean anything, but I've never seen something as savage.
What's up?
The reason why
Turn it up.
the fire is going on is because there's two reasons. One reason is the outcome of the Rodney King case. That's one. The second reason is that all these businesses around here is in the Latino and the black area, and they are owned and operated by Koreans. That was the two reasons. That's all I got to say.
Pause it.
Going against the
Pause. He said every business in the neighborhood, it ain't ours anyway. That's why we burning this stuff down. Give me that in Deuteronomy 28, JDL. Should be the head.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 43.
Yeah.
The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low.
Go ahead.
He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail.
Like we just said, the brother said, it's not just the Rodney King thing. Nah, they coming in here and they set up businesses and take all the money out of our communities. That's why we burning this stuff down. Let's go back to it. And this was 1992. The 90s was just getting started, baby. Just getting cracking.
Koreans, mainly because they don't have, like I say, just the black and the Korean, black and the Latino community, and they don't have neither race working for them.
That's it. Let's go to Leviticus 26, verse 17. Is that what I want, JDL?
Yeah, I think so. It's the book of Leviticus, chapter 26 and verse 17.
Mm-hmm.
And I will set my face against you, and ye shall be slain before your enemies. They that hate you shall reign over you, and ye shall flee when none pursueth you.
And ye shall flee when none. That's what was going on, man. The enemies was over us. They was over us with terror. They was reigning over us with hate, and they was still holding themselves not guilty in the 90s. That's what was going on. So another big thing that happened in the 90s, right? We just saw Rodney King. Can we all just get along? Some people tried to get along. Let's see what happened. Let's go to the truce. The truce in 94. Let's see what happened with the truce. We'll just start. I'll tell you where to stop.
In the hospital tonight. But on a more positive note, a ceasefire in the city's gang warfare still seems to be on. Ron Allen reports.
Since the truce among thousands of warring Crips and Bloods gang members declared as Los Angeles.
So you see right there, say Bloods, Crips together. They was like, look, the police is killing us. We got to stop killing us. So during this, after the end of the riots, the Bloods and Crips came together for truce. Hit play. Thanks, Jabez. You can put it on vibrate. It will help us. It will help us all.
Angeles smoldered. Most police have remained suspicious and openly skeptical that the daily gang killings would stop. But today, the deputy chief responsible for the city's most gang-infested neighborhood said he believes the truce is not only real, but holding.
Drive-by shootings, there are fewer of them than there has been in the past, and there are fewer homicides that are gang-related.
The 4 black gang-related murders since the riot, says Hunt, compare with 13 for the same period last year.
But there is reason to be...
So they said during the riots, we stopped killing each other. Before the riots, we was killing each other at a mass rate. After the riots, they said, dang, we got to stop killing ourselves because the police is killing us. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 1. Let's start at verse. We'll start at 8.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 1 and verse 8.
Yeah.
My son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother.
And like we done read through the 70s, through the 80s, going into the 90s, we lost a lot of black men. We lost them to prison. So there was no fathers there for them to hear. So they get into gang violence. They jump into gangs and all these different things, man. Go ahead.
For they shall be an ornament of grace unto thy head, and chains about thy neck.
Here it come.
My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not.
Consent thou not. Because the gangs was a bunch of sinners. Go ahead.
If they say, come with us, let us lay wait for blood. Let us lurk privily for the innocent without cause.
Without cause. And that's what gangs was doing back in those days, in the 90s. But they tried to come together. Let's go to minute 20 and 30 seconds. And we're going to go to 21:44. So South Central, Inglewood, Watts, Compton, all of them was causing truces, or a truce between the gangs, right? Long Beach, they was all calling a truce. Now, let's see what happened in the midst of this truce. We just seen the police came out and said, hey, it's good. They not killing each other as much. Let's see what happened. Go ahead.
Say something. I'm coming out of Compton. This is Brother Marcus Jackson out of Compton. You know what I'm saying? A lot of tricks have been brought to say that we are conspiring to, shoot the police.
Pause
I
it.
want to let you know these are.
So they said, they was putting out in the media, the only reason why the Bloods and Crips came together was to kill the police. Why would they do that? So they could keep killing black men. So they could keep the oppression going. They trying to be at peace. But now they pushing out. They only came together so they can kill police. Come on, watch.
Tricks certain parts of the media, tricks the police, so that continual harassment can be brought forth. Can you hear me? And what I want to say, I'm out of Compton. This Crips coming together from Power Brew, from Compton getting together, Grape Street Watts, Bounty Hunters, PJs. They come together all over. But I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna be all type of. A lot of people don't hear this. We think instead of them guys, young guys receiving praise, they're receiving a lot of static and harassment. So like you would be saying, so like the police would be saying like, oh, this is wonderful, man. This is wonderful. We could kick back at the donut shop longer now since we ain't got to worry about bullets flying. But I'm gonna tell you, it's like a lot of them, they can't stand it. And we have experienced it. You know what I'm saying? I was coming from Bible study. It was Crips. It was Crips and Bloods at a barbecue and a Bible study. I was on my way leaving and was harassed. It's like they're not patting nobody on the back. You know what I'm saying? Even though we're not saying they should be happy that we stopped killing, but we are happy. It's like a holiday now around certain parts. It's like a holiday.
Pause it. So in the midst of them trying to come together at a truce, the police was pissed off at them and still harassing them. They said, we had Bible study. And they harassing us. Let's go to Romans chapter 8, man. Give me Romans 8. I forgot about this one, Jetty. Romans 8. I want to start at 33.
Romans chapter 8 and verse 33.
Yeah.
Who shall lay anything to the charge of God's elect?
Mm-hmm.
It is God that justifieth.
Read it again.
Who shall lay anything to the charge of God's elect?
Mm-hmm.
It is God that justifieth.
Who shall lie anything to charge of God's elect? These blacks and Hispanics that you've seen as gang members, that's God's elect. And they trying to get right. But they going to still lay charges to them regardless. Go ahead.
Who is he that condemneth? It is Christ that died. Yea, rather, that is risen again, who is even at the right hand of God, who also maketh intercession for us.
Here it come.
Who shall separate us from the love of Christ?
Uh-huh.
Shall tribulation?
Tribulation. We was going through that in the 90s.
Or distress?
Mm-hmm.
Or persecution?
Persecution, like we just read. These brothers trying to do the right thing and they being persecuted and harassed. Go ahead.
Or famine?
Mm-hmm.
Or nakedness? Or peril? Or sword?
Or perils or sword. That's what was going on in the 90s. That's what we was dealing with. Let's go back to the video. I want minute 24 and 45 seconds. So even though they called the truce, the police are still harassing these brothers. 24:45. You got something in there now? You good? You good at Holy App? Holy App got something?
Sure.
Okay. Let me know.
And Chop from the Crips. And behind them are Said, Chop, and Chop's friend, Dave Geary. Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. Spud, I'm going to start with you first.
And his name is Spud, man. What's wrong with that? It's Spud and Chop, okay?
I was looking at all the names. Can you go back just a couple of seconds?
And then in the middle, you got Dave. Yeah. Go back a little bit.
So you got Said, Taco, you got Dave. What's that one down there? Said?
Chop and Spud.
Spud and Chop.
Spud and Chop, man.
Taco crazy looking.
Go ahead, man. Why they call that brother Taco, man?
I think I got a reasoning, but I'll tell you later.
Go ahead on the play.
Thank you for joining us this morning. Spud, I'm going to start with you first.
Start with Spud.
Explain to us how the whole idea of this truce came about.
Basically, it's just, it just started from after this incident with Rodney King. it just was a time for us to take advantage of this opportunity and just come as one and stop the senseless killing we've been doing. And
Stopping
just
at
unite as
2630.
one and give some extracurricular activity to something positive. Unite and do something right for once instead of negative.
Let's talk about that for a moment, Chop. Do you think this is going to work? And by that, I mean, do you think you're going to get total cooperation within these individual gangs?
Watch them.
Yeah, I think it's going to work because everybody wanted it to work. This is what they've been looking for, and now it's happening, so they better make it work.
What do you think is the incentive for gang members to come together and try to have peace on the streets?
It's something that they wanted to do. That's why all their life they wanted to do it. We just been forced to kill each other because of the white man. White man been influencing us.
Pause it. He told you what happened. He said because of our surroundings, they pressed us into killing each other. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28, please. Let's look at verse 62 again.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 62.
Yeah.
And ye shall be left few in number, whereas ye were as the stars of heaven for multitude, because thou wouldest not obey the voice of the Lord thy God.
So we was few in numbers. We actually make up around 13% of the population in the U.S. So we've been harassed and persecuted by these people that hate us, that hold themselves not guilty. So the only thing we could do at this point, or that they tried to do, was come together. They said, look, man, we've been killing each other. We got to stop. Go ahead, hit play. We're going to 26:30. Go back a couple of seconds, though. Let's hear what old Chop had to say, man. Chop a prophet, man. It's a man of God right there. Just got to keep the commandments. He's God's elect right there. Bring back up Chop, man. Chop dropping that science on him right now.
By that, I mean, do you think you're going to get total cooperation within these individual gangs?
Yeah, I think it's going to work because everybody wanted it to work. This is what they've been looking for, and now it's happening, so they better make it work.
What do you think is the incentive for gang members to come together and try to have peace on the streets?
It's something that they wanted to do. That's why all their life they wanted to do it. We just been forced to kill each other because of the white man. White man been influencing us. They figured like we can't kill no white man because if something happened to a white man, we in jail. Anything happened. So we've been killing up each other. So that's the incentive now to get together and fight for another cause. The people that's really hurting us.
What is this cause you're talking about? What is the mission? Spud?
The mission is...
Or Chop, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Spud.
I mean, that's basically the mission is, you know what I'm saying?
So, like he said, man, he said the white man has been influencing us to kill each other. That's in their nature. So we picked up on their nature and started killing each other because, like I said, we was left few in numbers. Let's go to that in Obadiah right quick. Did you have something, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, just say no. You good. You ain't got to pick up mine. Let's go to Obadiah. Let's go with verse... Let's start with verse 4.
It's the book of Obadiah, verse 4. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord.
Here it come.
If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes?
Yep.
How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his things sought up? All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him.
Jump down to verse 9.
Verse 9. And thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter.
Here it come.
For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever.
So the violence against Jacob. They like he said, we saw the killing happen around us, but it wasn't nothing we could do. We was killing each other. Let's go back to the video one more time. We'll start at 28. We'll just ride it to the end.
But it is okay to wipe out a cop?
But see, I gotta say something now. You guys are getting that pamphlet and saying it was us. We was not giving pamphlets out saying kill the police. We're giving pamphlets out saying we need to stop this gang violence. We need to organize something where we focus on something else as far as, you know, getting new jobs, starting businesses, letting black people and gangs and Crips show that we can, you know, do what we want to do.
Pause.
We put our minds together and we go do.
So you see that again. So this is a whole different area, right? I think they said they was Inglewood. The first one we watched was South Central. A whole different area. They were saying the same thing. Are y'all trying to get together to kill the cops? I heard y'all saying y'all want to kill the cops. Like, look, we didn't say that. They kept trying to find a way to whatever they was trying to do positive to make it evil. They had a gang truce, and they kept saying they only got together so they can kill the police. They kept trying to push that narrative through the media. They continue to try to push that narrative. You got something, Ananiah?
Hey, go to Zephaniah 2. We're going to read 1 through 3. These brothers had the right idea.
Yeah.
As far as trying to come together.
They was trying.
You know, they was trying, but they left something key out of the mix.
Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 1.
Yeah.
Gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desired.
So this is talking about Israel, basically. We need to be gathering ourselves together when we come into situations like this because everybody is against us. Go ahead.
Before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as a chaff, before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you.
And that's what we're dealing with right now. The fierce anger of the Lord is coming upon us, putting us to death in the streets, right? Let's go.
Before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you. See ye the Lord, all ye meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be ye shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger.
So that's the thing. It's like we didn't seek any righteousness. All we were doing was just gathering together. Whose responsibility was it for us to learn that we need to be keeping God's commandments? Because I'm watching these videos. I don't really see any churches getting involved in this thing.
Well, they was. The churches were for the gang truce.
Yes.
Yeah, the churches was there.
Okay.
They was trying. But again, they teaching them the wrong Jesus anyway.
Well,
they still gonna hate
true.
themselves walking out of there because they teaching them white Jesus.
Because a lot of stuff I was looking at, even going through this stuff, the churches, they get involved, but they only get involved to a certain extent because they're not going to put their neck on the line.
Yep.
Because they don't want to have that, oh, we're on this side. You know, we're about all people. So if we just sit here and try and protect the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, people, you know, the Israelites, it's going to give us a bad view to the rest of the world.
Okay. Yep. You're right, bro. You're right. Was that it on the scripture?
That was it. I think.
That was it. Okay, so we see the thing that happened with Rodney King, man. They had riots, right? Gang truce. These are things that happened in the 90s, right? Now we're going to move on to the next thing that was going on in the 90s, which was interracial marriages, right? Interracial marriages seemed to be on the rise at the time. And it was some high-profile interracial marriages we're going to look at. I want the Steve Harvey clip, please. Give me Steve Harvey. We're going to see what happened with interracial marriage. Give me that scripture first, Proverbs 11:21.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 11 and verse 21.
Go ahead.
Though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered.
So though hand join in hand, though you want to marry the other nations, it's not going to bring us together. It didn't bring us together in the 90s. Let's see some of the outcomes of what happened in the 90s with interracial marriages. Let's bring up Steve Harvey, please. Hit play.
Folks, there are certain newsmakers that will always remember folks tied to headlines so
Pause it right quick.
extraordinary that they instantly be
The wiki article right above it, I want that next. When I tell you to pause, I want you to go to that article next. All right, go ahead, hit play.
become part of American pop culture. And when they disappear from the public eye, we often wonder, well, you know, what became of them? Well, that's certainly true of my next guest. Take a look. Crimes of passion, affairs of the heart going tragically wrong. The extreme cases instantly become worldwide news stories and captivate the public. But few tales of lovers who lost it have left a bigger impact than John and Lorena Bobbitt's. Their volatile marriage, filled with allegations of abuse and infidelity, came to a gruesome conclusion when, in a fit of rage, Lorena took the one thing most precious to her husband and committed the one act every man fears the most. Joining us now, please welcome Lorena Bobbitt.
Turn it up some. Some of them don't know who Lorena Bobbitt is. Some of them like, I don't know. Some of y'all young sisters don't know. Y'all finna learn today.
I know.
He don't know. Jericho don't know who that is.
You know, but the audience, though, all this here, what was all this about? And then she looked at me and went, I know. Take me back to that time. What happened?
Well, Steve, I was young. I came to United States when I was 18 years old. I was naive. I was looking for the opportunity in the United States, so I wanted to live the American dream. I wanted to, have a family. I wanted to meet a man, get married, and I did. I met John, and he was nice, and he was charming.
All right, so we see this woman says she came to America. She wants to live the American dream. Read that Proverbs 11 one more time.
My bad, Cap.
Proverbs
chapter 11 and verse 21.
Yes, sir.
Though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished.
The wicked shall not be in hand. She thought the American dream was coming here and marrying her, a white man. Let's see. Let's pull up her the thing I told you to pull up before on the wiki. Scroll down to her.
I got you.
Just scroll down. Scroll down to her. I want to see where she's from. John. There she go. Lorena. So it says, after the trial. No, that's not it. Oh, yeah, it say it right there. After the trial, Lorena attempted to keep a low profile and reverted to the use of her birth name, Gallo. In October 1996, she made a visit to her native Ecuador, where she met the president, Abdullah Bakram, for official dinner. So this woman was Northern Kingdom. She was from Ecuador. But she then came over here, thought the American dream was marrying the white man. Let's go back to Proverbs. Let's look at chapter 6, verse 13. And then on the video, I want minute 440.
Proverbs chapter 6 and verse 13. He winketh with his eyes. He speaketh with his feet. He teacheth with his fingers.
So she ended up marrying what she thought was going to be the white knight, and he was beating her down. And let's see what her reaction to it was. Can I get the video, please? Minute 440.
And so low, my self-esteem was down, cool. And he came that night and abused me, and I went to the kitchen for a glass of water and to calm myself up because he was abusing me that night. And all of the things I remember was I took a glass of water, and then I found myself in the street with a penis in one hand and a knife in the other. And so, yeah, that happens. I mean, I'm telling you,
it happens.
This is a true story. I am here to... This is the truth. This is a true
Pause
story.
it.
I'm telling you.
So she say she was in a fit of rage. She was being abused. She went to get a drink of water. Next thing she knows, she found herself outside with a knife in one hand and a penis in the other. You got something, Holy Ave? You got something you want to say, sir?
I never knew that she was Northern Kingdom.
She's Northern Kingdom.
I thought she was a white. I used to hear that all the time. I thought she was a white woman.
She's Northern Kingdom, interracial marriage. Go ahead, hit play. Play on. So now y'all know who Lorena Bobbitt is. Now y'all know.
And I'm here to tell you.
Go ahead.
And to tell everyone what happened when a woman gets abused by a man.
Can I ask you a couple questions? So, but
yes.
What made you take it, though? I mean, you cut it off, and
I was insane.
Where you going with it?
I don't know. I mean, that's how the reaction of, yeah.
Why you leave with it? That's what I don't, look, I'm not really sure how I want to receive this.
I don't know. I know. I know.
You didn't think of just like lay it on a pillow so when he wake up, you know, you wake up and all of a sudden you wake up. You know, I don't know if I would rather wake up and see it laying next to my pillow and try to bring it back, you know. Come here, come on. I don't know what I'll do.
Yeah, it's
But when you threw it out the window, though, that's
Pause
the
it.
part. Now we.
So she topped it off, got in the car, drove down the street, and threw it out the window into a grassy field somewhere. That's what happened. Did that happen? Holy Ab, did that
Yes,
happen?
that happened.
That's what happened, right?
That happened, yes it did.
That's what happened. That what happened, Adonai?
I guess that's what happened.
That though hand joined in hand, like the scriptures say. Though hand joined in hand. Though you want to be in this interracial relationship.
I still cringe.
It's
when I hear
still
that.
cringe
I
hearing
do.
that story. That's the 90s, baby. We taking it back to the 90s. Come on, bring it back. We're going to stop at 6:32. So for y'all that don't know about Lorena Bobbitt, now you know.
You got to go find it.
Yes.
You know, you out here. You know, what are we looking for? I'm helping with this search. I don't give a damn. Gauze me up, pack me, put a tourniquet on me, but I got to get out here. I got to find it. Now, find it. Got grass on it. I'm trying.
They did. They did. They had grass on it.
Come on, speak to me. Come on, it's okay.
Well,
All right, that's it, man. So Lorena Bobbitt, man, in an interracial relationship. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next interracial marriage. Give me the one. What's the one? Not the Joshua, the one in the law. Give me the law.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 3.
Yeah.
Neither shalt thou make marriages with them.
Mm-hmm.
Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son.
Yep.
For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly.
So the anger of the Lord is kindled against this interracial marriage thing that was going on back here in the 90s and still persists to this day. Let's go to the next clip, please. Can I get the next one? Oh, there he is.
He assured us and agreed to provide for the surrender, and that's not occurred.
On June 17, 1994, O.J. Simpson became the most famous fugitive on the planet.
Everybody was on the alert looking for a wanted double homicide suspect who happened to be a Heisman Trophy winner.
David Gascon, the LAPD's chief spokesperson at the time, believed O.J.'s whereabouts wouldn't remain a mystery very long.
I remember having a conversation and I told him directly, I said, you know how this is going to end up. Somebody's going to see O.J. Simpson out here. Somebody's going to see him out on the freeway somewhere. We're going to get the call.
Highway Patrol.
Yeah, I think I just saw O.J. Simpson on the 5 freeway. He's heading north.
O.J.'s on the 5.
Near Nicole Brown Simpson's grave, south of Los Angeles, the white Bronco is spotted. At the wheel, O.J.'s best friend and former teammate, Al Cowlings.
Did you see him? Yeah, we believe so. And we looked at him, you know? And he stared us down like he was dead. Hold on, I got a cop coming here right now.
Okay, we'll put it out.
Okay, bye.
All right, that's enough. So good old O.J., he was married to Edom, just like Lorena, married to Edom. Though hand join in hand. Let's go to that in Joshua, please. Nope. Matter of fact, give me Proverbs 6, verse 13.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 6 and verse 13.
Yeah.
He winketh with his eyes.
Yep.
He speaketh with his feet. He teacheth with his fingers.
So this man, O.J., he was also abusing this Edomite woman, apparently, allegedly. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing with Lorena Bobbitt. Apparently, she was being beat and abused. Let's go to the next video right quick.
Mr. Simpson to stand. That's People 77.
So, pause it. So, they said that these gloves that was at Bloomingdale's, only like a few of them were sold, like 300 in the whole world. So, they proved that his wife, Nicole Simpson, had bought these gloves. And then they say, OJ, put on the gloves. Let's see if you killed him. Go ahead.
Problem placing the glove on his hand.
Sustained.
I'm not saying he guilty or innocent. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he killed him or didn't kill him.
164A, is that the right hand glove?
I'm just saying he shouldn't have been involved with an interracial marriage in the first place according to God's laws. Now he had court trying on gloves. Oh, wait, you can pause that thing. So the gloves, he can't get them on his hand. All right, he can't get them on his hand. Go ahead, Holy App.
He was using his acting skills.
He used his acting skills right there. He couldn't get them on his hand.
Get him on.
Give me the next one. Give me the next one. Give me the next one.
I was thinking.
So this is Johnny.
Last night about this case and their theory and how it didn't make any sense and how it didn't fit and how something is wrong. It occurred to me how they were going to come here and stand up here and tell you how O.J. Simpson was going to disguise himself. Was going to put on a knit cap and some dark clothes, and he was going to get in his white Bronco and this recognizable person and go over and kill his wife. That's what they want you to believe. That's how silly their argument is. And I said to myself, maybe I can demonstrate this graphically. I'm going to show you something. This is a knit cap. I'm going to put this knit cap on. And you've been seeing me for a year. If I put this knit cap on, who am I? I'm still Johnny Cochran with a knit cap. And if you look at O.J. Simpson over there.
Get him, Johnny.
And he has a rather large head.
Big head.
O.J. Simpson in a knit cap from 2 blocks away is still O.J. Simpson. It's no disguise. It's no disguise. It makes no sense. It doesn't fit. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
There we go. There go Johnny.
It reminded me that there was testimony early on.
There go Johnny, man, doing his thing. If it don't fit, you must have quit. That was big in the 90s, man. It don't fit. You must have quit. That's what they were saying back in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? I'm dropping this on y'all right now, Israel, so y'all can know. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Adonai.
Hey, go to Psalms 141. We're going to read 9 and 10. Because all they were doing is laying all these traps and snares out for OJ. But he just kept stepping around them.
Right.
You know, the glove, it didn't fit.
Right.
The cap, I'm like, okay, yeah, you're going to hide with a knit cap on your head.
Yeah, the trial didn't make sense. And this whole thing they played out on national TV. They played the whole trial out on TV. They didn't put trials on TV before that. But for OJ, for the black man, we going to make it all on TV. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 141 and verse 9. Keep me from the snare which they have laid for me, and the grins of the workers of iniquity. Let the wicked fall into their own nets, whilst that I withal escape.
So that's exactly what happened with OJ. They set up all these traps and snares for him. And like I was saying, we're not saying
he was guilty or
not guilty. Guilty
going
or
through
not
the 90s.
Guilty. I don't know.
We're just talking about the 90s.
Back in the 90s, I was like, that dude didn't do it. He was innocent. But today, I look at him in the truth, I'm like, oh, that brother probably killed that woman. So I'm just like,
the left glove fit.
Yeah, exactly. One glove fit, the other one didn't. But you know, you do more work with your right hand.
But that's what I'm saying though.
Do with your left hand.
Who take a glove? And he's a football player and just drop everything. Like he was trained not to drop stuff.
And where did they find the glove?
They found the glove in his front yard, like right in the wall, in his driveway.
It was wet.
Yeah, wet in his driveway.
What happens to leather when it gets wet? It shrinks.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and like you said,
they found one next to Nicole,
Right.
One glove there. He dropped one there, and then he dropped one at his house.
Exactly. They just so happened
to find it.
To find it just like that.
Yeah.
Man, okay. He's like he's and they say, okay, granted, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if that dude did it or not.
I don't know.
Because that brother, they say he pretty much destroyed those people. He said they damn near
he like stabbed him like 40 times down there
and almost cut her head off.
Yeah.
And this blood didn't have no blood in his car.
Nothing. They said it was blood on the front of the car.
In the front of the car, okay.
It was crazy.
That's from the deer he hit.
Yeah.
But anyway, then he was like, "Oh shit, what did I just do?" So I took one glove off, and I'm running away. And then I get all the way to my house, and I realized I still got the other glove on, so I dropped it there.
That's crazy.
Read that scripture one more time. Hey, did we lose? No, it's just me.
Psalms chapter 141 and verse 9.
Yeah.
Keep me from the snare which they have laid for me, and the grins of the workers of iniquity. Let the wicked fall into their own nets, whilst that I withal escape.
So that's exactly what they did. They fell into their own nets. They thought they had this man.
Dang.
Set all these traps, and he just got acquitted.
All right, let's finish up. Give me a Joshua right quick.
Joshua chapter 23 and verse 11.
Yeah.
Take good heed, therefore, unto yourselves, that ye love the Lord your God. Else, if ye do in any wise go back and cleave unto the remnant of these nations, even these that remain among you, and shall make marriages with them, and go in unto them, and they to you. Know for a certainty that the Lord your God will no more drive you out of these nations from before you, but they shall be snares and traps unto you, and scourges in your sides, and thorns in your eyes, until you perish from off this good land.
Go ahead.
Which the Lord your God hath given you.
So that's what was going on, man. These interracial marriages, God was not in agreement with that thing. And these marriages ended tragically in murder and death, scourges, trials, all type of stuff. Give me that Proverbs 11 and 1 right quick. And give me old Hillary.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 11 and verse 1.
Yeah.
A false balance is an abomination to the Lord.
So that's what they had. They had a false balance, man. And these courtrooms and these courthouses, the judges, the whole judicial system was a false balance. It was designed to incarcerate and keep in prison the black man, the black woman, the Hispanic man, the Hispanic woman. In the 90s, that's what we was dealing with. All right, let's go to Hillary. Let's see what Hillary got to say.
Affairs programming from the nation's capital and are a public service of your television provider. C-SPAN, created by cable.
The fourth challenge is to take back our streets from crime, gangs, and drugs. And we have actually been making progress on this count as a nation because of what local law enforcement officials are doing, because of what citizens and neighborhood patrols are doing. We're making some progress. Much of it is related to the initiative called community policing, because we have finally gotten more police officers on the street. That was one of the goals that the president had when he pushed the crime bill that was passed in 1994.
False.
He promised
So they passed something called the crime bill in 1994, where they had things called like truth and sentencing, the 3-strike rule, where if you committed 3 criminal acts, you was put away for life. Like I said, what was the other one called? Truth and sentencing, where you had to, if you got 20 years, you pretty much had to do 20 years. You didn't get parole. It was 80%, I think it is. And the other one thing they did besides truth and sentencing, 3 strikes, mandatory minimum sentencing, where the judge, they couldn't make a decision based off of if this was your first crime or when you did it, how you did it. It was a mandatory minimum. They couldn't, the judge didn't get the right to choose what the amount of time you would get. Let's go ahead. Watch what Hillary say.
100,000 police. We're moving in that direction, but we can see it already makes a difference.
Pause.
Because
so they added another 100,000 police that was already abusing us and beating us down. They added another 100,000 to them. They paid another $100,000. I mean, another 100,000 Caucasian people, Asian, Moab, Ammon. They paid another 100,000 of them to come into our neighborhoods to abuse us. Go ahead.
if we have more police interacting with people, having them on the streets, we can prevent crimes. We can prevent petty crimes from turning into something worse. But we also have to have an organized effort against gangs, just as in a previous generation we had an organized effort against the mob. We need to take these people on. They are often connected to big drug cartels. They are not just gangs of kids anymore. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators.
Stop.
No conscience.
They called the black man, the Hispanic man, a super predator. They said in the 90s, the black man, the Hispanic man, had no conscience. Go back a couple of seconds. Watch it. Watch what she's saying. Go back a couple of seconds.
They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators. No conscience, no empathy. We can talk about why they ended up that way, but first we have to bring them to heel. And the president has asked the FBI to
Pause.
launch a very...
You know, I kept replaying that too when she said bring them to heal. Because in the Negro, in the Hispanic mind, like, oh, we need to be healed. That's not what she was talking about. She's talking about heal, like you tell a dog to heal, to sit down, to be still. That's what she was saying when she said we got to bring them to heal. It wasn't, oh, let me help give you the treatment or the education or the information you need to not be in the situation. That wasn't what she was talking about when she said bring them to heal. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. What is it, Jediel? 37? Give me that.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 37.
Yeah.
And thou shalt become an astonishment,
Mm-hmm.
a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee.
And that's what we became. We became another proverb, another byword. And another one of those was super predator, without conscience, without thought, senselessly killing people. And guess what? She was kind of right. Let's go to the scriptures. Let's go to the scripture. Let's go to Micah chapter 2, verse 8. Give me the inquirer. The inquirer. Proverb and a byword.
2 and 8.
Give me that.
This is the book of Micah, chapter 2 and verse 8.
Yeah.
Even of late, my people is risen up as an enemy.
Mm.
Ye pull off the robe.
What did they do?
Ye pull off the robe.
They was pulling off people's robe. This is back in the Bible times. They was pulling off the robe. Go ahead.
With the garment.
With the garment. Pulling the clothes off of you.
From them that pass by securely, as men averse from war.
So they would walk by people back in the Bible times and pull off their clothes, rob them for their clothes. Let's see what was going on in the 90s. Bring up the Inquirer, please. 1990s. Flashback when the desire for starter jackets turned deadly. See, some of y'all don't know about starter jackets. Look at them. Some of y'all don't know about starter jackets. You couldn't leave your house in your starter jacket. It was all bad. Scroll down. Let's see what happened. It says just before, on March 4th, 1990, 15-year-old Darius Lamont was pulled through the back door of a friend's home in Charlotte, North Carolina. His attacker wanted the teenager's green and white Eagle Starter brand jacket valued at $125. During their struggle, the attacker pulled out a gun, shot Lamont in the face. When the police arrived, the jacket was gone. Lamont died 10 hours later. His death, like the jacket, was part of a trend. In the 90s, the trend was to rob you for your starter jacket. Don't have no jacket on. Anna, do you remember having a starter jacket?
No.
No. Why didn't you have a starter jacket?
Because I wanted to live.
Because you wanted to live in the 90s. You didn't wear a jacket. See, some of y'all think this is just like, that's crazy. They was killing you for a jacket in the 90s. This is what happened. Go ahead, Holy Ad.
It was the Jordans for me.
We getting to it. We getting to it.
Okay.
Well, I just want to start with starter jackets.
Okay.
We going there next. I got you. Go back to the thing. Let me see. I think it's a little bit more. You couldn't wear a Raiders jacket back here. Look at that. Right there. It says starter business peaked in 1992 when the brand made $350 million in sales. The most popular product was the winter weight jacket worn by gangster rappers and Hollywood superstars alike. So if you had on a starter jacket, well, you was living. They seen that on TV. They started killing each other.
Not for long.
Not for long. Yeah, I know. Let's scroll on down. Let's see. Come on. Go ahead, a little bit more. There you go. Here go another. Whoop, there go another right there. 2 or 3. Go back up where it say 2 or 3. Above where it say 14-year-old. There you go. 2 or 3 times a week, the police blotter was full. On a week in 1993, a 14-year-old boy was jumped by a group of 4 men at 8:45. This is the next one. It say a 14-year-old boy was punched and robbed for his $100 starter jacket at 9:15 at night. A 13-year-old boy was robbed of his $100 starter jacket at 2:15. Scroll down. I don't want to see that. Where it say Philadelphia police. Go down. Here you go. Here you go. This is what I wanted. In 1993, when Robert Levins was the inspector of Northeastern Police Division, he told the Daily News columnist Jill Parker that he would lecture parents. I tell parents that I wouldn't buy one for my child because of the fact, why put a target on your kid? He said, why make your kid a victim? Buy him a nice coat, but it doesn't have to be a starter jacket or a sports team jacket. So the police was telling the parents, don't even buy your kids these items because they get killed over them. This is one, I couldn't find it. It was this one, man, they was talking about this dude got shot. He had on a Cincinnati Bengals starter jacket. He got shot. Somebody shot him through the A in Cincinnati. He was walking around wearing the jacket with the bullet hole in the A. That's how they found him. Got a dang on bullet hole in the A. Yeah. Read that scripture one more time. Micah chapter 2, verse 8.
It's the book of Micah chapter 2 and verse 8.
Yes, sir.
Even of late, my people is risen up as an enemy. Ye pull off the robe with the garment from them that pass by securely, as men averse from war.
As men averse from war. It's like they was going to war. They can't even walk around their neighborhood. Let's go to the next one. What was the next one after that? Give me the next one. Here we go. How kids' obsession with Air Jordans helped to lead to school uniforms and stricter dress codes. Scroll on down. All right, here we go. It says, today sneaker culture seems almost tame. Go ahead. I don't think I want that part. Scroll down. There you go, right there. Black teens in particular, with the focus of the news report, robberies, footwear like Air Jordan was described as a attire of gang members and drug dealers, leading to bans in some schools. So you couldn't even wear these shoes to schools. They started forcing public schools to wear uniforms. I remember that. They started forcing public schools to wear uniforms because if you wore your starter jacket, you wore your Jordans, you was getting beat up, shot, going to school. And this is elementary kids.
Yeah, no, I just remember in Chicago, that was a big thing.
That was a big thing?
Oh, man, they were stealing Jordans left and right, robbing you for them.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it was a big thing in Chicago.
And that was the I think that was the main point of this, is that they was forcing a lot of kids to wear uniforms now just to keep them safe. You know, I remember being upset. I don't want to wear no uniform. Go ahead. You finna say something about that?
Yeah, and they would break into freights and steal the Jordans out of the freights.
There you go.
And sell them in the barbershops.
There you go. There you go. Yep. Yeah. That's what happened. That's what happened. I was going to say that. That's what happened to me. So what happened was you could not, in Dallas, and I believe it was like 96, 97. I looked everywhere for this article. You could not wear the Jordan, I believe it was the 11, the blue and white. You cannot wear them in the city of Dallas without having a receipt on your person. If the police saw you with the blue and white Jordans on, they would ask you for a receipt. And if you didn't have a receipt, they would arrest you. They would take your shoes. Something would happen. You couldn't wear them. They'd be like, where your receipt at? Clank, clank. If you didn't have your receipt, it was going down. Give me the other one. I don't remember what else I wanted out of that one. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68.
It's the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68.
Yeah.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
Yeah.
With ships by the way whereof I split.
I mean 66. I'm sorry.
Verse 66.
Yeah.
And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee.
Mm-hmm.
And thou shalt fear day and night.
And we should fear day and night. We fear day and night even to each other, against each other, because of the Jordans, because of the starter jackets. Go ahead.
And shall have
and the gold chains.
And the gold chains.
I'm just looking at that.
Oh,
You better
yeah.
tuck your chain.
You better tuck your chain in, bruh. It was bad.
I was telling you when I was coming home from school, that's what they would do.
Yep.
You used to have a gold chain on your neck. They would snatch the gold chain and jump off the bus.
Dang.
We do that all the time.
Let's go to the other one. The one after it should be the SI, Sports Illustrated. Scroll down a little bit, right where you can see the cover. So back in the 90s, they released this cover right here. Scroll down a little bit. It was called Your Sneakers or Your Life. You couldn't wear Jordans. You couldn't wear Air Maxes. Not only could you possibly be robbed, but like I said, if you didn't have a receipt, the police would take them from you. Scroll down a little bit. This guy got killed. Oh, yeah, let's read this. It says, for 15-year-old Michael Eugene Thomas, his definitely was the shoes. A ninth grader at Meade Senior High School in Ann Arbor, Thomas was found strangled on May 2nd, 1989. Charged with first-degree murder was James David Martin, 17, a basketball buddy who allegedly took Thomas's 2-week-old Jordans basketball shoes and left Thomas' barefoot body in the woods near the school. That's what was going down in the 90s. Scroll down to where it says, I think it says GQ. It should start with, it's towards the end. You know what? Matter of fact, where it say in recent months, it should be two. I want to say we certainly do in a country. I'll read that too. Okay, it says, we certainly do in a country that has long been hung up on style over substance, flash over debt. The athletic shoes and sportswear industry projected $5.5 billion in domestic sales on name brand shoes in 1990, more than $2 billion in sweatpants, sweatshirts, and warm-up suits. Suddenly have come to represent the pinnacle of consumer exploitation. We was exploited. They would make this stuff, put it in the neighborhood, and we would kill each other over it. In recent months, the industry, which included heavyweights like Nike, Reebok, as well as smaller players, Adidas, Asics, British Knights, Brooks, Converse, LC's, Electronics, Feelers, LA Gear, New Balance, Ponies, Pumas, Starter, and numerous other makers of supporters of shoes, caps, and jackets have been accused of creating a fantasy-fueled market for luxury item in the economical interblast. So again, they said that they knew, a lot of these companies knew that they was fueling turmoil in our neighborhoods. They did it on purpose. British Knights, right? Or some of y'all, like I said, some of y'all wasn't born in the 90s, but you couldn't wear British Knights, right? British Knights represented a gang. If you wore British Knights, that means you was a blood killer, the BKs. You dig what I'm saying? And where I'm from in Dallas, right, I never knew a lot of the names of these shoes until now, right? But where I grew up, the shoes called the Air Cortez, they called them Dope Mans. I never knew what they was called. We would go to Foot Locker or Foot Action or whatever. It'd be like, hey, y'all got the Dope Mans in the blue. You got the Dope Mans in the green or whatever. That's what they called them. Can you pull up a picture of the Air Cortez so we can see them? And then Dope Mans. They called them Dope Mans. That's the only thing I knew them called as. And in the other shoe, you would wear the Dope Mans or you would wear the Soldieries, right? The Reebok Classics. I never knew they was called Reebok Classics. Where I'm from, they called them Soldiers. You got them soldiers on, man. I like them soldiers. That's what they would call. I never heard them called anything else. You know what I'm saying? Till I left Texas. But the shoes represented a certain type of person. If you wore Dope Mans, there they go right there. Those are the Air Cortezes. I didn't know what they was called. I thought they was called Dope Mans my whole life. Like I said, you walk in the shoe store, you say, hey, let me get some Dope Mans. And they point right to them. They know exactly what you're talking about. Pull up the Reebok Classics. Those was called Soldiers. Yep, Air Maxes. So in where I'm from, like I said, Air Maxes, Dope Mans, Soldiers. That's what we wore. I never knew really about Jordans that much. Like, people wore them, but it wasn't really a thing. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm from. Go ahead. Air Maxes was bigger.
Ours were K-Swiss.
K-Swiss was huge, too. Yep. Pull up a Reebok Classic so y'all can see what the Soldiers look like. There you go. Nah. Yeah, those were soldiers, and you had the classics too, the ones right there. Those two. Yep, those were soldiers. But anyway, yeah, man, that's what it was in where I grew up, man. You know what I'm saying? Couldn't wear these shoes. If you wore those shoes, you presented a certain thing. A lot of people wore, this might just be Dallas, Dickies and house shoes. Like, it was a whole theme song behind Dickies and house shoes. You know what I'm saying? You had to wear that in Dallas. That was the thing. But anyway, Dickies and house shoes. Man, you never heard that song? It's what you wear, what you wearing. You never heard that? All right, whatever. All right, so anyway, these are the things that happened to the 90s. Give me that one more time, Micah 2:8, man. Micah chapter 2, verse 8. Give me the next one on gut matcher, and then we're going to wrap it up.
The book of Micah, chapter 2 and verse 8.
Yeah.
Even of late, my people is risen up as an enemy.
Yeah.
Ye pull off the robe with the garment.
Yeah.
From them that pass by securely, as men averse from war.
So, like we see, man, the brothers was killing each other over Jordans, over starter jackets. That's what was happening in the 90s. But you sisters, y'all was not left out. Y'all was killing at an extremely high rate as well. Let's see who y'all was killing. Let's go to Gut Matcher, please. So something happened in the 90s as well called My Body, My Choice, right? Where they would allow 16-year-old girls as early as 16 years old to get abortions without any parental consent. You can go down and have abortions. It was your body, your choice, right? And they changed what's known as Casey versus Planned Parenthood. They changed the term in which you could get abortions. At first, it was on like in the first or second term. In Casey versus Planned Parenthood, they was like, get them whenever you want. And so they made Planned Parenthood available to girls as young as 16. In my high school, specifically Skyline High School, Dallas, Texas, they had a dang on child care facility for girls or for people with kids in the high school. You could come to school with your baby, drop them off, go to class, pick them up at the end of the day. So look at this. Look at page 44. So these are the abortion rates of the 90s. Look at the black woman right there under rates. Look at that. How much, what they say right there in 1990? How much, what was her rate of abortion? Ananias, say that for them so they can see that. Right there, rate. Right there, 63. You don't see that? Oh. The abortion rate in 1990 for the black woman was 63.9%. More than 50% of the women in the 90s, the black woman, the Hispanic woman, was committing and having abortions. 60%, over 60%. You got to think of how many people was dying. Go to that in Exodus chapter 20, please. Exodus chapter 20.
Thou shalt not kill.
So abortion is not cool, man. The baby got a heartbeat. The Bible say, I formed ye in the womb. 63.4% they was having abortions, the black and Hispanic woman back in the 90s. Look at this. Through the years, right, they was averaging 500,000 black kids and 194,000 Hispanics. Okay, cool. I heard you. So we averaging about 800,000 abortions as a nation through the 90s per year. So Israel, with that, man, that was the 90s, man. Abortion was rampant. We was killing each other over starter jackets and interracial marriage. All that stuff was happening in the 90s, man. So with that, Bishop class about to start on. So say shalom.
We used to scream black power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission. Minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road. Purple and gold. From Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.